The question that I raised with the police, that if this guy was known to be a known gangster and a drug dealer, why was he still out there? This is what the community and all of us were calling to say, don't deal with these small fish, don't deal with the man on the street here, deal with the real guys.
On January 4th, 2021, the quiet streets of Shallcross, Durban, exploded in violence that ended an era. Teddy Mafia, real name Yaganathan Pillay, was at home, his fortress, expecting visitors. He told his daughter, who left him to his business. Moments later, gunshots rang out. She found her father slumped, shot twice in the head. The king of Shallcross had fallen. News of his assassination spread instantly, igniting the community. As Teddy Mafia was rushed to hospital, a furious crowd gathered outside his home. They cornered two men believed to be the assassins. The police were too late. The mob delivered brutal street justice. The men were beaten, shot, beheaded, and their bodies set ablaze in the road. When police arrived, they faced hostility and gunfire from the crowd, dispersing them with rubber bullets. This was more than murder, it was open rebellion. The day exposed the violent world Teddy Mafia had built. His death unleashed the loyalty and rage he commanded. For outsiders, it was lawlessness. For Shallcross, it was the only law that mattered. They had lost their king, and in their grief, showed the world the savage rules of his kingdom. A kingdom now teetering on the brink of chaos. To understand Teddy Mafia's power, you must see his role as Shallcross's unofficial benefactor. In a neglected community, he filled the void, feeding families, paying school fees, funding funerals, and giving jobs. His generosity was strategic, buying silence and loyalty. People turned a blind eye to his crimes because he provided what the state did not. At his funeral, crowds chanted, "Viva Mafia, Viva!" mourning not a criminal, but their champion.
Viva Mafia, Viva! Viva! Viva!
He was both poison and cure, the source of Shallcross's problems, and for many, its only solution. This duality was the secret to his reign. When the state is absent, people look for order wherever they can find it, even from a drug lord. Teddy Mafia understood this better than anyone. Behind the mask of community provider was a ruthless crime boss. Teddy Mafia ruled a multi-million rand drug network, cocaine, heroin, ecstasy, mandrax, feeding addiction and despair. He controlled the trade with an iron fist. Anyone selling drugs paid him or faced violence. His authority was enforced by fear. Dissent was met with intimidation or worse. His network silenced rivals and informants, making him untouchable within Shallcross. Turf wars and assassinations were common, all linked back to his operations. He offered jobs, but most were roles in his criminal enterprise. The money he gave was laundered through the suffering of addicts. He was both the cause and supposed cure for the community's decay. The people became complicit in their own subjugation. Yaganathan Pillay wasn't born into power. He built it through decades of crime. His criminal record stretched back to apartheid-era South Africa. Prison was his university, where he learned to command respect and build alliances. On release, he returned to Shallcross, more ambitious and ruthless. He systematically took over the local drug trade, eliminating rivals and establishing himself at the top. His home became a fortress, the center of his empire. By merging criminal power with community patronage, he became more than a gangster. He became an institution. He was the law, the bank, and the safety net. This transformation allowed him to rule for decades. Teddy Mafia's reign was enabled by a flawed, often corrupt justice system.
It's the third time this year that police have raided Teddy Mafia's home. In fact, just a month ago, police seized more than 5 million rand worth of drugs from his house. Mafia and his son are currently out on bail on drug charges related to the January raid. Yet, it appears to be business as usual for the drug operation in this community.
Police raided his home repeatedly, seizing drugs, cash, and weapons, but he always walked free. Arrests followed a pattern: media frenzy, low bail, quick release. Many believed he was protected by corrupt police, not just outsmarting them. Incidents confirmed suspicions, like a police officer dismissed for giving him an unauthorized escort. Tip-offs and stalled investigations kept him one step ahead. His impunity added to his legend. He seemed untouchable. Even honest police faced resistance from the community, who defended him as their own. His manipulation of the system was a pillar of his power. On Torres Street, the state's laws did not apply. Teddy Mafia's power couldn't shield his family from violence. As his empire grew, so did his enemies. In March 2020, his son Biggs was gunned down in a drive-by, seen as the heir to the throne. The murder was a direct challenge, plunging the underworld into a new cycle of violence. That same month, his wife's cousin was killed, and another son-in-law survived an assassination attempt. The Pillay family lived in constant fear, targeted by rivals dismantling his support network. Hitman-style murders became common, the violence closing in. The king who built his world on blood was now besieged by it. Teddy Mafia's end came not from rivals on the street, but betrayal within his own home. On January 4, 2021, he welcomed visitors he trusted, his fatal mistake. The assassination was an inside job, 2 shots to the head, clinical and personal. In the underworld, trust is dangerous. The killers were likely associates turned by rivals. The community's savage response, beheading and burning the assassins, was more than revenge. It was a ritual to purge betrayal. The killers had broken a sacred pact, striking at the heart of Shallcross's power. Teddy Mafia lived by the sword and died by the treachery of his own world. In the game of power, there are no peaceful endings. The king was dead, brought down by betrayal from within. Teddy Mafia's death didn't bring peace. It left a dangerous power vacuum. The single source of authority was gone, and chaos brewed. Rival gangs and lieutenants fought to control his empire, bringing new violence to Shallcross. The stability he provided, however brutal, vanished overnight. Gangs from outside saw an opportunity, and residents feared a surge in shootings and lawlessness. The social safety net he created, food, school fees, cash, disappeared with him. The new contenders lacked his ties to the community, leaving people more vulnerable and desperate. The fall of the king plunged Shallcross into a violent struggle for the throne. Years after his death, Teddy Mafia's legacy divides Shallcross. To some, he's a hero who cared when no one else would. To others, he's the architect of their suffering. His story is a tapestry of contradictions, protector and predator, savior and destroyer. He was a symptom of deeper problems, poverty, inequality, and state neglect. His rise was possible because people had few choices and less hope. In that void, a man like Teddy Mafia could be both monster and messiah. His story blurs the line between good and evil, forcing us to confront uncomfortable truths about power and survival. If you found this story fascinating, hit like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments, was Teddy a hero or a villain?
That it happened, that somebody killed them and they were killed. I'm very sure if we have acted as the police, do what we're supposed to do, we shouldn't have had chain reaction that happened yesterday. But there is investigation going on. We'll be getting the...
That's all for this episode. As always, be safe, stay blessed, and don't forget to like and subscribe. On to the next one.